Thought I'd just do a little update on this because my garlic cloves have arrived just today. Messidrome is a garlic, so that's a variety. Let's see what they've sent us. I've not actually had a look yet. Wow. It's meant to be 40. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I've had a count up. Now there's 23 what I call decent sized bulbs. They're not massive, but they're decent. And then we've got all this lot here. I mean, look at the size of them. Just ridiculous, isn't it? So you're not going to plant them. Take them out the equation. And them. And that and that. I mean, they're the next best lot of the lot. So 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 30. So 33 out of 40 that are half decent, and them, they're just rubbish. Now when I compare these Messidrome, that's probably the biggest bulb, to my biggest bulb, and you can see there that my bulb's actually bigger now than the Messidrome. So yeah, I have finally got some decent bulbs now, or cloves should I say. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant these Messidromes in their own drill. I'll put these in as well because we'll get something off them. Them I just won't bother with. But them, yeah, I'll put them in, I'll put them in, and I'll put them in. And then I can compare how much better this year my garlic do. If they ever get any bigger than this, I'm not actually sure. But we can see how these Messidrome compare to mine, which are just an unknown variety. I have no idea what they are because over the years I've just been growing the same garlic again, which some came from supermarkets. Some I bought, which was meant to be Solent White, but I just don't think it was because it just came off eBay. It was just some spurious garlic, but that's what we've ended up with. So at least we've got a known variety now, and if these bulbs come out okay next year, then I can save this Messidrome strain of garlic, and I know what they are. Okay, 22nd of September, the equinox, when the daytime light is exactly the same as the nighttime dark. So it's split 12-12, and we're going roughly, approximately about here with the garlic. 4-foot bed. Drop these canes in so that the garlic's not too close to the path, because when I have garlic and onions on paths, it always flops over on the path and I always end up walking on it. So I've got I'm putting 4 rows in, and I'm going to put them roughly about 6 inches apart. In fact, I just found the perfect stick for the spacings of the garlic. I'm just going to go and get that in a sec, but I've got the Messidrome garlic, which came from Premier here. I don't know how they can say that stuff in that tray's garlic cloves, but there you go. Anyway, we're going to put my big save seed garlics in, whichever they are. The Messidromes are in the bag. Anyway, let's get these fellas in here. I'm also going to put a net over it to stop the scratching. I guarantee as soon as I plant these, the partridge or something will be in first light, scratching them up, pulling them out. Found a stick. It's about 7 inches long. So I'm going to start 7 inches from the path. So that's my first garlics there. It's my first one. Sort of like that. Not too fussy that they're exactly, but it helps if you put stuff in you know, set spacings. It really helps when the stuff starts coming up, because you can see, you know what the spacings are, so you know if the garlic's going to come up, or it's late, or it's slow, or whatever. And then if it doesn't come up, you've got that little space then where you know the garlic should be, that you can maybe put another one in if you've got any. I've not fully counted how many garlic cloves I've got, but it's in the 60s, I think. I'm going to start with my garlic cloves first because they happen to be the biggest ones. And the pile I show you that I sifted through, which were like the smaller ones, I'm going to plant them now because they're all bigger basically than the Premier garlic. So they're the smaller cloves. This is all the bigger stuff on this side. They're decent sized cloves them, they're really nice. If you look at them, really nice cloves. Anyway, they want to be twice the depth of the clove. So they want to be about that deep, about 2.5 inches these deep. I'm going to put them in. I'm not going to bury them yet so I can see where they all are. Planting, they've all got a little basal plate where you separate the clove at the bottom. That obviously goes back in the bottom, and then you've got a little pointy tip there. I've literally just put another half a barrel full of compost on this soil, and which will settle. I mean, there's not much on really, there's 1/2 inch of it on the surface, but it will settle a little bit. So I'm probably going at the correct depth here. There we go, that's one row in, and that's the bulk of my cloves. That's the bulk of my big cloves, 16. Let's get in there because I've already got these in now and I can still see them. I don't have to mess about with my stick now, so I can literally just plant these as I go down. Make sure they're in the right way up, that's all you need to do. We actually had a bit of a frost last night, guys. So the night of the 21st we had our first frost. Because it's sort of battered the courgette leaves. I'll show you in a second. They're all sort of bleh, fell over, all sort of looking like they give up. Shame, because there was still a few courgettes coming on them. Anyway, we've got enough courgettes. Yeah, so I like things in rows and in grid form. And it's literally so you can find it, you know, so you know where it is. It really helps if you're doing a lot of weeding or hoeing, because you know exactly where your cloves, your bulbs, whatever you're planting are. Hopefully I won't have to do too much weeding on this ground, because we've just put homemade compost on, hot bin compost, which should be pretty much 90% weed free. So we won't have a massive flush of weed growing in here. Well, I've got enough of my own garlic for another row. Let's put these in. These are these slightly smaller cloves, these. Actually, you know, thinking about it, I'm going to have enough garlic to put in here, because there is 20 or so of the messidrome, the bigger ones. So I'm just going to put 16 of them down the row. I could have closed these up a little bit, the spacings, you know, they could have been 4 inches, the spacings between these garlic. But I'm just hoping this year, they were about 3 to 4 inches last year apart, and I did get some really nice bulbs off them. Spacing at more than 6-7 inches isn't going to give you any benefit at all. 6 inches is more than enough room for garlic to grow. So, and the reason I've put them sort of 12 inches apart is so that I can interplant next year. So I may put asparagus peas in again between these garlic next year, because they really did well together. The asparagus peas just gave them that little bit of shade when it was really hot, but they didn't sort of overcrowd them. Could also put lettuce between them next year as well. Actually not a bad idea putting lettuce between garlic, because it'll keep some of the pests away. Any cloves I've got left, there's a lot of flies about today. Any cloves I have left, I'm going to put them surrounding my purple sprouting broccoli, because then when the broccoli come out, if they survive the winter and they come out next sort of March, April, then that bed will have something else in it and the garlic can stay in around the edge of the bed. There are the best of the mesodrome, 17 cloves, the biggest and best. And also I'm going to put 3 more of my cloves at the end of this bed, so yeah, 17 in a row now. So let's get these fellas dropped in and we can get a net over this bed. That clove there felt a little bit soft. Can you see that? It's a bit of kind of mouldy, a bit of a mouldy top, and it's a bit soft. That'll probably rot off underground, that one. So we shall replace it with a decent one, albeit smaller. Just going to put some little tabs in at the end of these drills so I know where the drills are. There we go, back of the rake now. Just push that soil over them. Well, it's actually probably compost we're pushing over them now, which is good, isn't it? It's only just at 1/2 inch on the surface, but we're pushing that little bit of compost on top of the garlic, which is no doubt going to help it no end. All those microbes on that compost can assist in the growth. So there we are. Lovely. That's the garlic in. That's it. The garlic has its duvet or bedspread on. Move on to bigger and better things. Wait for these to come up. I tell you what, I'll come back when they start poking through the surface on the garlic. There's the courgettes. They've done the frost thing. All the leaves have flopped over. Looks like they had a rough night, doesn't it? They might pick up a bit today, I don't know. They have already picked up actually for when we first walked on the allotment. But thing is, they're still full of flowers. So they would have still been producing had it not been for the frost last night. Got a few little nice ones we can pick today anyway. And on the storage bin heap, I've just filled to here again this morning. I went on a bit of a scavenge yesterday and I was gifted some cabbage and bits and bobs. I'm just going to show you the most biggest beetroot I have ever seen in my life. God guys, look at this. For a beetroot, how is that even possible? Look at the size of it. It's nearly 3 foot tall, that plant. Unbelievable. That's been grown on a bit of no dig ground as well. Centre's just gone on it, but yeah, that's one heck of a beetroot. I'll chop that up in a minute. There's its little brother Benjamin beetroot. Chop him up as well. Someone asked me a question actually about the last time I filmed this bin, and it was had all the apples in, you know, and they asked me if I'd chopped the apples up. Well, you know, sometimes I do chop the apples up. If I've got time, I will chop them up, but it really depends on the state of the bin. So if the bin is hot, really hot, screamy hot, I generally won't bother chopping the apples up because they just break down so quickly. The bin is cold, then I will chop the apples up because I bet it helps the bacteria get into the apples a lot quicker. but when the bin is screaming hot, the apples literally go soft overnight, and then the bacteria just invade them and the fungi. So we don't need to chop them up if they're small. Now this is that buckwheat, the very first lot of buckwheat I planted I sowed in this bed, and as you can see, the seed is now, it's gone black. So I'm taking the opportunity to strip the seed off these, and we're going to save it, and we're going to grow it again next year. Hopefully we'll get a bit better seed next year from the save seed. So I'm just going to have 10 minutes pulling vast majority of this stuff off. A couple of reasons really. It saves having to pull all the weeds up next year, because they will become a weed in this ground. And I've no doubt at all that something will find it very attractive, like mice, moles, voles, rats, whatever, even birds coming down scratching it. So let's give it all a good stripping. And then I'm going to cut this buckwheat back, actually. I'm going to cut it back a bit, and then I'm going to allow these other plants that are growing around it to, to just get a bit more room and see how they develop. It's quite easy to pull off if you just run your hand up the plant. You can actually strip all the seed off. Anyway, let's see how much we can get, off these. Well, there we go, guys. That's just like 5 minutes spent stripping the seed heads off. So there is a fair bit of seed there. When you consider you only need a gram or two, that many for a square metre, there's enough seed there for many beds as a seed mixture. So I've taken most of it off. It doesn't show any signs of dropping off the actual plants yet. So in another week's time I'll give it another go and I'll strip a little bit more off. Yeah, it's done really well. I'm really pleased with the way the buckwheat's grown this year. First time I've grown it, and I will be putting it again. I just hope it attacks those wireworms. Right guys, the next video up will be planting the purple sprouting broccoli. I'll see you quite soon. Bye for now.